The rain hadn't stopped since the morning. It clung to the windows like a second skin, a cold veil over the world as Anna stared out from the back seat of the taxi. Her fingers trembled slightly, not from the weather, but from what lay ahead. After nearly 12 years away, she was returning home, not for a visit, not for reconciliation, but for a funeral. Her mother was dead. The house on Willow Creek Lane had once been her entire world, now it felt like foreign ground. As the taxi slowed down near the gravel driveway, her breath caught in her throat. There it was. The old 2-story farmhouse, white paint peeling at the corners, the front porch sagging slightly. Still standing, still stubborn. Just like her mother had been. The driver didn't speak as she stepped out into the drizzle. She didn't tip him. She had no cash. Only dread. She could already see her younger brother Ethan, standing by the porch steps with a cigarette between his fingers, his eyes sunken and cold. He didn't wave. He didn't move. She walked past him without saying anything. Inside, it smelled like lemons and dust. The air was still, like the house was holding its breath. Her mother's touch was everywhere, crocheted blankets, old photo frames, dried lavender bundles hanging by the windows. It felt frozen in time. Then she heard the voice she'd been dreading most. Well, look who decided to show up. Anna turned. Her older sister Margaret stood in the hallway with arms crossed and eyes sharp as razors. Her tone hadn't changed a bit. I came for Mom, Anna said quietly. You came for guilt. Don't pretend it's anything else. Anna opened her mouth to reply, but stopped. What was there to say? She hadn't spoken to either of them in years. Not since the night she left, angry, broken, unwilling to forgive. They gathered around the kitchen table later that evening. Silence sat at the table like a fourth sibling. No one ate the food Margaret had prepared. They just sat, occasionally glancing at the dusty urn in the middle of the table. She wanted to be cremated, Margaret finally said. She wrote it in her will. Ethan nodded, still silent. Anna's gaze dropped to her lap. She also wanted us to go through her things together, Margaret added. Tomorrow. No one argued. It was just easier that way. But that night, Anna couldn't sleep. The storm had grown stronger. Thunder growled above, and in the hallway, a picture frame crashed to the floor. She rose to pick it up. It was a photo of the whole family, before everything fell apart. Her, Margaret, Ethan, and their father. His arm was around their mother, his smile full of life. But he was supposed to be dead. Died in a fire 15 years ago. So why was there a letter tucked behind the frame? A letter, postmarked just 6 months ago. From him. Anna's fingers trembled as she unfolded the letter. The paper was worn, the ink slightly smudged, as if it had been read and reread many times before. Her mother had hidden this. Why? The handwriting was unmistakable. Firm, familiar. Her father's. My dearest Elizabeth. I don't expect you to forgive me. I don't expect you to understand. But I couldn't stay. The fire, it was the only way to disappear. You know why I had to do it. For them. For the kids. I hope someday when the time is right, you'll tell them the truth. But I'm not ready to face them yet. I'll write again soon. Yours always, Michael. Anna's heart pounded in her ears. Her father was alive. And her mother knew. All this time. The funeral, the grieving, the years of silence, they had all lived a lie. A floorboard creaked behind her. She spun around, quickly folding the letter and tucking it into her sleeve. Ethan stood in the hallway, shadows draped over his features. What are you doing? He asked, voice low. Couldn't sleep, Anna said, her voice shaking only slightly. Ethan stared at her for a moment longer, then turned and disappeared into the dark. She waited a full minute before exhaling. The next morning, the siblings gathered in their mother's bedroom. The air was heavy, like the walls themselves carried secrets. Margaret opened the closet, revealing a trove of carefully packed boxes. She saved everything, she murmured, almost to herself. Letters, receipts, drawings we made as kids. Anna's heart raced as she scanned the shelves, searching for any sign of more letters. Her fingers brushed against a wooden jewelry box. She opened it. Inside, instead of rings or necklaces, was a second envelope. This one addressed directly to her. Anna. If you're reading this, it means I'm gone, and you've come home. I never stopped thinking of you. I know we parted on terrible terms. I blamed myself every day. But there are things you must know, things I couldn't say when I was alive. Your father didn't die. Not in the way you believe. And he didn't leave without reason. There's more. Much more. Look in the attic. Behind the old trunk. There's a hidden compartment. You'll find the rest there. Please be careful. Some truths hurt more than lies ever could. Her breath caught. She slipped the letter into her back pocket just as Margaret turned toward her. Anything in there? She asked, eyeing the jewelry box. No, Anna lied, closing the lid. Just her rosary. Margaret gave her a long, unreadable look before nodding. Later that day, Anna slipped away while her siblings argued over the will. She climbed the narrow attic stairs, flashlight in hand. Dust filled her lungs. Cobwebs clung to her sleeves. The place hadn't been touched in years. She found the old trunk near the far wall, just like the letter had said. She moved it aside, revealing wooden boards, and a faint line along one of them. A seam. She pried it open. Inside, there were documents, photos, and another letter. But this one wasn't from her father. It was from Margaret. And it was dated 2 decades ago. Anna's hands were shaking as she opened the letter marked with her sister's name. June 5, 2005. Dear Mom. I didn't know who else to tell. I'm scared. I know what Dad did. I saw him that night in the shed before the fire. He was yelling at someone on the phone. He said something about money, about a deal gone wrong. He was angry, angrier than I've ever seen him. And then I smelled gasoline. I didn't say anything because I thought it would go away. But it didn't. And now he's dead, or at least that's what you told us. But what if he's not? If you're hiding something, I need to know. Because if he's alive, if he left us on purpose, I'll never forgive him. And I'm not sure I'll forgive you either. Margaret. Anna's throat tightened. Her older sister had known something for years, maybe everything. Yet she had never said a word. They had all mourned together, cried together, broken apart over a lie, while Margaret watched it unfold in silence. The house groaned beneath her feet as if echoing her thoughts. She tucked the letter into her coat and carefully replaced the board. When she descended the attic steps, Ethan was waiting for her again. His eyes narrowed. You were gone a while. Looking for photo albums, Anna replied quickly. Couldn't find them. He didn't press further, but something in his face told her he didn't believe her. That evening, the 3 siblings sat in the living room. The urn was still on the mantel, untouched. I've been thinking, Ethan said, breaking the silence. We should sell the house. Split the money. There's no point staying here. Margaret looked up sharply. This house isn't just walls and wood. It's a tomb, Ethan interrupted. Of secret. Regret. Lies. Don't tell me you don't feel it too. Anna watched them argue, her thoughts racing. She held pieces of the puzzle, but not all of them. Not yet. And she wasn't sure if she wanted to find the rest. I found something, she said suddenly, surprising even herself. Both heads turned toward her. In the attic. Letters. One from Dad. Silence. Thick and sharp. What? Margaret whispered, her face pale. He's alive, Anna said. He faked his death. And Mom knew. Ethan stood slowly, like he might fall. What the hell are you talking about? Margaret didn't move. She just stared at Anna. Then, almost imperceptibly, she shook her head. You weren't supposed to find that, she said softly. Anna's heart dropped. So you knew. Margaret didn't answer. Ethan looked between them, his face darkening. Start talking. Now. And Margaret did. Slowly. Carefully. Tearfully. About the night of the fire. About how their father had gotten involved in something dangerous. About the threats, the fear, the desperate plan to disappear before he dragged them all down with him. And about the deal their mother had made, to protect the children. To protect them. But why the lies? Ethan asked, voice raw. Why keep it from us? Because we thought it was safer that way, Margaret said. We thought he was gone for good. We were wrong. Anna reached into her pocket and held up the letter. He was still writing. 6 months ago. No one spoke. The rain had returned, tapping softly on the windows. We need to find him, Anna said at last. He owes us the truth. It took them a full day to decide.
Margaret resisted at first.
She claimed digging up the past would only bring pain. But something had shifted, in Anna, in Ethan, even in Margaret herself.
The illusion was broken.
The past was clawing its way to the surface whether they liked it or not. Anna sat cross-legged on the bedroom floor, surrounded by stacks of old papers and letters. Ethan scrolled through his phone, trying to trace any mention of a Michael Harper who had vanished 15 years ago. But it was Margaret who finally brought them a lead. There's a P.O. box number on the last letter, she said, holding it between gloved fingers. Postmarked from a small town in Maine.
Lighthouse.
Ethan snorted.
Sounds fake.
It's not, Margaret replied. Mom used to talk about it. She went there once. With him. Anna stood. Then that's where we go. 3 days later, they arrived in Lighthouse Bay. It was the kind of town that looked like it had been forgotten by time. Weathered docks, seagulls crying above empty streets, and a single diner with a rusted neon sign that blinked open like it was trying to convince itself. They checked into a motel just outside of town.
Anna could barely sleep.
Every time she closed her eyes, she imagined his face, the man she'd grieved, cursed, mourned. What if he opened the door? What if he didn't recognize them? What if he did? The next morning, they split up. Anna and Ethan went to the post office while Margaret asked around at the diner. P.O. Box 43? The clerk at the counter repeated. Yeah. That one's still active. I see the guy every so often. Tall, graying hair, wears a black coat. Keeps to himself. Do you know where he lives? Anna asked, her heart thudding. The clerk hesitated. I'm not really supposed to. We're his kids, Ethan cut in. He doesn't know we're here. But we need to see him. Something in Anna's voice must have reached the clerk because she finally sighed and scribbled an address on a piece of receipt paper. He lives near the cliffs.
End of Marine Estrella. All Blue Cottage. Can't miss it.
The cottage looked like it had been pulled straight from a postcard, quiet, isolated, half hidden by trees. Smoke curled lazily from the chimney. They stood on the porch for a full minute before anyone knocked. Anna raised her fist. 3 sharp raps. Silence. Then footsteps. The door creaked open. A man stood there, older, thinner, with streaks of silver in his beard and eyes that flickered with recognition and fear. He opened his mouth, but no words came out. Anna took a shaky step forward. Dad. He staggered back as if struck. His face crumpled. Anna. His voice cracked like dry leaves. Margaret appeared at her side, her expression unreadable. Ethan stood stiff behind them, fists clenched. Michael Harper leaned against the doorframe, chest rising and falling like he couldn't breathe. I didn't think, he stammered. She said you'd never come. We found your letters, Anna said. We know you're alive. Michael closed his eyes. I'm sorry, he whispered. God, I'm so sorry. Margaret's voice was cold. That won't cut it. He opened the door wider. Then come in, he said. It's time you heard everything. The inside of the cottage smelled like old wood and sea salt. A small fireplace crackled in the corner, casting dancing shadows across the floor. The room was modest, but lived in. A single armchair. A bookshelf lined with worn novels. A photo of their mother, recent, framed, sat on the mantel. Anna's knees weakened. You've been watching us, Ethan accused, voice low. Michael didn't deny it. Not watching. Just staying close. Your mother wrote me every month. Told me how you were. She sent photos sometimes. School events. Graduations. Anna's hands balled into fists. You had no right. I know, he said. But it was the only way I could live with myself. They sat, reluctantly, on a tattered couch across from him. No one spoke for a moment. The tension was heavy, suffocating. Michael broke it first. I made mistakes, he began. So many. But none greater than what I did to you 3. Ethan scoffed. You mean pretending to die in a fire and abandoning your family? Michael looked down. It wasn't just about leaving. It was about protecting you. I was involved with dangerous people. Business deals, debts. I was desperate. And when things started spiraling out of control, I made a deal to disappear. Your mother helped me fake my death. Margaret's eyes narrowed. Why didn't you come back? Why not after a year? 5? 10? I wanted to. Every day. But I was told if I resurfaced, they'd come after you. All of you. Anna blinked. Who are these people? You make it sound like some crime novel. Michael nodded slowly. I was laundering money for a private firm. Dirty money. When I tried to pull out, they threatened your lives. The fire wasn't staged. It was real. They torched the shed as a warning. Your mother and I used that to create the illusion. She buried an empty coffin. Ethan's jaw tightened. You let us grow up fatherless. You let us hate you. I never wanted that, he whispered. But I also didn't want you dead. A silence fell over the room. Then Margaret stood up. I need air. She walked out onto the porch, slamming the door behind her. Ethan followed after a moment. Only Anna remained. She looked at her father, studying him. There were new lines on his face, a heaviness in his eyes she didn't remember. Did you ever think, she said softly, that maybe we would have rather faced the danger with you, than live in the shadow of a lie? Michael's eyes welled with tears. I did think that, he said. But I was too much of a coward to take the chance. Anna stood. I don't know if I can forgive you, she said. I don't expect you to. But I'm not leaving until I understand everything. He nodded. Then stay. I'll tell you all of it. Outside, thunder rumbled in the distance. Inside, the storm was just beginning to break. That night, the siblings stayed in the cottage. No one slept much. Ethan tossed and turned on a creaky sofa bed. Margaret sat silently by the fire, staring into the flames, her expression unreadable. Anna stayed close to their father, asking questions, not because she wanted to, but because she had to. The answers were the only way to close a chapter that had haunted her for over a decade. Michael opened an old wooden box filled with documents, old ledgers, forged identities, bank transfers, and letters, not just to their mother, but drafts of letters he had written to them, and never sent. There were nights, he said, when I came to the house just to look at the lights in your windows.
I saw you, Ethan, sneaking out on your bike. Margaret sitting on the porch, reading. Anna dancing in your room.
You thought no one saw you, but I did. I was always there, just out of reach.
Anna's voice cracked.
That doesn't make it okay. I know. What about the threats? Ethan asked from the shadows. Are they still out there?
Michael hesitated. I don't know.
Most of those men are probably gone by now. Arrested. Dead. But I never risked checking. I stayed small. Paid in cash. No phones. No banks. Margaret finally spoke. And what now?
You think we just forgive you?
Pretend none of this happened.
No, Michael said.
I don't expect forgiveness. But I thought, maybe you deserved the truth. They sat in silence again, the only sound was the fire slowly dying down. Then Margaret rose and walked toward the door. I need to go back, she said.
To real life. I veux good keys.
A job. A husband who doesn't know I've been gone this long. Ethan followed her with his eyes. You're just going to leave?
After all this.
I'm not ready for this kind of forgiveness, she said. Maybe I never will be. And just like that, she was gone.
The next morning, Anna woke to the smell of coffee and the sound of sigulutzid.
Her father sat on the porch, staring out at the cliffs. She joined him in silence. She always said you were the most like me, he said without turning. Stubborn. Quiet. Always thinking too much. Anna gave a soft laugh. Sounds like an insult. It's not. They sat there for a long while before she finally spoke. What do you want now? He sighed. A chance. To make up for it in any way I can. To be present, even if it's awkward, even if it hurts. Anna looked down at her hands. I don't know if I want that, she admitted. I understand. But I think I want to try. Michael nodded, eyes glossy. That's all I can ask. Ethan stepped out behind them, arms crossed, voice flat. So what now? We visit on weekends? Do Christmas together? Michael smirked. One step at a time. Anna stood and faced her brother. Maybe it's not about rebuilding what we had, she said. Maybe it's about building something new. Ethan didn't answer, but he didn't walk away either. Back home, months later, Anna received a package in the mail. Inside was a photo, the three siblings and their father standing on the cliffs of Lighthouse Bay.
No smiles.
But not empty, either. Just honest. And tucked behind it, a note in her father's handwriting. The roots were shattered. But maybe now, they're growing again. 6 months passed. Life was quieter now, but not peaceful. The weight of truth lingered like dust in the corners of the siblings' lives. Margaret had returned to her family, refusing to answer Anna's calls. Ethan split his time between his job and short, stiff conversations with their father. And Anna was stuck somewhere in between. She visited Michael every few weeks, trying to rebuild something. Trust, maybe. Connection. A new kind of relationship that neither of them knew how to define. It was fragile, like glass, transparent but sharp. Then, in early March, it arrived. A letter. No return address. Just her name, Anna Hopper, handwritten in perfect cursive. She opened it at her apartment kitchen table, coffee going cold beside her. You think the truth has set you free? Think again. He lied to all of you. And you're not the only ones he destroyed. Meet me. Friday. 7 p.m. Corner of Broad and Whitmore. Come alone. A friend. Her blood ran cold. She stared at the paper, heart pounding. She read it 3 times, then lit it on fire over the sink. Watched the flames curl around the edges until the paper turned to ash. But she did go. Friday night. 6:59 p.m. The intersection was dim, the streetlights flickering. An old diner nearby hummed with neon lights. Anna waited, fingers tucked in her coat sleeves, her breath visible in the cool spring air. At 7:06, a woman appeared. Tall. Black coat. Long, straight hair. Mid-40s. Wary eyes. She didn't smile. You're Anna. Anna nodded. Who are you? My name is Lila, she said. And 15 years ago, your father ruined my life. They sat in the diner. Lila ordered black coffee. Anna didn't touch her tea. You don't know half of what he was involved in, Lila said. The company? The laundering? He wasn't just a player, he was a creator. He set up entire systems. Offshore accounts. Silent partners. When it all collapsed, people lost everything. My mother said he did it to protect us, Anna replied. That he was threatened. Lila scoffed. Maybe. But that didn't stop him from betraying the people he worked with. Including my husband. Anna blinked. Your husband? Mark Templeton. You probably never heard the name. But your father and he were close. Until your father vanished with millions, and left Mark to take the fall. Anna's hands were ice cold. He went to prison, Lila continued. And when he got out 5 years later, he was broken. He drank himself into the grave. Anna swallowed hard.
I'm sorry.
I don't want your sorry, Lila said. I want your father to face what he did. Publicly. Legally. Fully. Anna looked down at the table. I need time. You don't have time, Lila said. Because I'm not the only one looking for him. Anna's head snapped up. There are still people out there, Lila continued, her voice lower now. Worse people. They found out he's alive. And if they reach him before you tell him the truth. She didn't finish the sentence. She didn't have to. That night, Anna sat in her car outside Michael's cottage for hours. Watching. Thinking. Inside, her father sat by the fire, reading. Peaceful. Unaware. Anna closed her eyes, pressed her forehead against the steering wheel. He had lied. But could she really turn him in? Could she let strangers take him, maybe kill him, after finally starting to heal? Or was protecting him just another lie? The road ahead was splitting again. And this time, there might be no going back. The wind howled through Lighthouse Bay the next morning. Anna stood in Michael's kitchen, the letter from Lila burning a hole in her memory. She hadn't told him. Not yet. Not about the threat. Not about Lila. Not about the past returning with teeth. Michael noticed. "You're quiet," he said, pouring coffee. "I didn't sleep much." He gave her a soft, concerned look, but said nothing more. And then came the knock. 3 slow, heavy knocks on the cottage door. Michael's brow furrowed. "Are you expecting someone?"
No.
He approached the door cautiously, peered through the peephole, then staggered back like he'd seen a ghost. Anna stood up. "Dad." He didn't answer. Just opened the door. And there, standing in the frame, soaked in sea rain, hood drawn over his head, was a boy. No, not a boy. A young man. Barely 20. Slender. Pale. Green eyes that mirrored Michael's exactly. "Hello," the stranger said, his voice clear but strained. "You're my father." The silence that followed could have shattered the walls. Anna blinked. "What?" Michael's face had gone white. His hands trembled.
No, it can't be.
"No."
My name is Caleb, the young man said.
"My mother's name was Teresa Lane."
Michael staggered back again.
Anna's stomach flipped. "Who is Teresa Lane?" Caleb stepped inside, water dripping from his sleeves. "She was your assistant. 15 years ago.
Before the fire.
Before you disappeared." Anna looked at her father. "You had an affair?" Michael didn't answer. "More than an affair," Caleb said quietly. "She told me you were dead. Until a few months ago. Then she died of cancer. And I found a letter in her things."
A letter from you.
Anna backed away from them both.
No.
Michael sat down heavily. "I didn't know."
I swear to God, Anna.
"I didn't know." "But you slept with her," she said bitterly. "While Mom was covering for you."
Hiding your crime. Holding the family together. He was broken, Michael whispered.
"It was a mistake, one I never told anyone. And I never knew she was pregnant." Anna couldn't breathe. The air felt like ice in her lungs. Caleb turned toward her.
I'm not here to ruin anything.
"I just wanted to see the man I've wondered about my whole life." "Are you really his son?" she asked. Caleb nodded and pulled out a folded letter. "DNA test. I mailed a sample to a service after I found a hair in the letter from him. It matches."
99.8%. Anna's knees gave out.
She sat on the arm of the couch, staring blankly. Everything was unraveling. Again. Later, in private, Anna confronted her father outside. "Why didn't you ever tell Mom?" Michael looked hollow. "Because I was ashamed. And by the time I realized the depth of it, it was too late. I had already disappeared."
She never knew.
"At least, I don't think she did." Anna's voice broke. "You said you wanted to rebuild. But how do you rebuild when the ground keeps crumbling beneath you?" "I don't know," Michael said. "But I haven't lied to you since I came back."
You want to start now.
She didn't reply. Inside the cottage, Caleb flipped through old photo albums. Alone. Outside, Anna stared at the sea, wind ripping through her hair. Behind her, the world she thought she'd finally pieced together was splintering again, revealing more cracks, deeper secrets.
And somewhere, still wanted revenge.
The storm hadn't passed. It had only just begun. It started with a broken window.
A sharp crash in the middle of the night jolted Anna awake.
She ran into the living room barefoot, just in time to see glass scattered across the floor, and a brick lying in the middle of it, wrapped in newspaper. Michael rushed in behind her. Caleb stood in the hallway, eyes wide.
Anna bent down, tracing, and unwrapped the brick.
A message was scrawled across the torn paper in red marker.
TikTok, Michael. You can't hide your sin forever. Michael stood frozen.
No. Anna turned to him, furious. "You said we were safe. You said they were gone." "I thought they were," he whispered. I thought the trail was cold. Well, it's not. By morning, Lila was waiting for her at the same diner.
Anna slid into the booth, eyes tear-red, voice sharp.
You said others were coming. You didn't say how soon. They're already here, Lila said flatly. 2 men. I saw them yesterday outside your father's cottage. One was asking about blueprints of the cliffs. Anna paled. Why would they need blueprints? Lila sipped her coffee. Because they're not just here to scare him. They're planning something permanent. Anna's voice dropped. Why are you helping me? Lila looked at her long and hard.
Because he lost everything to your father.
But you didn't. You still have a chance to stop this before it ends the way mine did. Anna leaned in.
Tell me everything.
Names. Contacts. Anything. Lila nodded. There's a man. Victor Rohn. Former financier. Your father sold him out during the collapse. He lost $30 million, and his brother. He's not just angry. He's vengeful. Calculated. And very, very patient. Anna's voice was barely a whisper. And he's here. Lila nodded. Somewhere close. That night, Anna told Michael everything, about the brick, the message, and Lila. Michael sat still for a long time, then stood and walked to the fireplace. He pulled down a picture frame, reached behind it, and took out a small black notebook. What's that? Caleb asked. My insurance policy. Inside were names. Codes. Offshore bank info. He opened to a specific page, one marked with Victor Rohn's name in bold ink. I kept this in case they ever came back. Anna stared at the names. We take this to the police. Michael shook his head. The police are powerless here. Victor has people. Influence. This goes deeper than you know. Then we run, Caleb said. We leave. Disappear again. Michael didn't move. Running cost me everything once. I won't run again. Anna's voice broke. Then what? Just sit here and wait for them to come finish what they started. No, Michael said. This time I end it. At dawn, a knock came. Not on the door, on the window. Anna opened it cautiously. Lila was outside, soaked, breathing hard. They found me, she whispered. They were watching me. I only just got away. Anna let her in. Michael watched her warily. I don't trust her, he said coldly. You don't get to talk about trust, Anna snapped. Lila turned to Michael. He's not going to stop, Michael. Victor wants blood. He won't settle for money or apologies. Then we give him what he wants, Michael said. Anna's head whipped around. No. Michael's voice was low. I mean me. We give me to him. Are you insane? Caleb shouted. I created this, Michael said. And if my death saves all of you, then maybe I've finally done something right. Anna was already shaking her head. There has to be another way. There isn't, he said. But maybe we can control the narrative. Choose how it ends. That night, Michael wrote 3 letters, one to each of his children. He didn't tell them what they said. Then, he made a call.
To Victor Rohn.
And set the meeting. The air in the abandoned warehouse was thick with dust and secrets. Dim light flickered from a single hanging bulb, casting long shadows across crates stacked haphazardly. Michael stepped inside, flanked by Anna and Caleb. Ethan and Margaret had refused to come, unwilling to confront the man who held their family's fate in his hands. A tall figure emerged from the darkness.
Victor Rohn.
His sharp eyes glinted with cold fury, a slow, cruel smile curling his lips. So, Victor said, voice like gravel. The ghost finally shows himself. Michael met his gaze steadily. I'm here to make this right.
Victor looked harshly.
Right? After all you did, after all you stole? You think words can fix that? Anna stepped forward, voice firm. It's not just about money anymore. It's about stopping this cycle of pain.
For all of us.
Victor's gaze flicked to her, then to Caleb. You brought his bastard son. Caleb's jaw tightened, but he didn't speak. Victor turned back to Michael. I want a full accounting. Names. Accounts. Where the money went.
And then you want justice.
Michael nodded slowly. You'll get it.
Victor's smile faded into something darker.
Good. Because if you don't, the consequences will be worse than you can imagine. After the meeting, Michael looked exhausted but resolute. We have a chance, he said.
Anna sighed. It feel like we're standing on the edge of a cliff.
Caleb added, one wrong step and we all fall. Margaret finally answered her phone that night. I can't stay away anymore, she said, voice trembling. We have to be together for this. Ethan showed up at the cottage the next day, silent but present. Days later, the siblings gathered around the kitchen table, documents and laptops spread out. They worked through the night, uncovering truths, mapping the web of lies and debts. Painful as it was healing. The family was broken but fighting. And sometimes, that was enough. Weeks later, the evidence they gathered was enough. With Lila's help, the authorities launched an investigation into Victor Rohn's network and Michael's former dealings. Public trials began. Names were exposed. The truth could no longer hide. The family, though battered, began to heal in small, quiet ways. Margaret returned home fully, opening her heart to forgiveness. Ethan found peace in reconciling with their father. Caleb, once a stranger, became part of their fragile new family. One evening, Anna stood by the cliffs, watching the sun dip below the horizon. Michael joined her silently. I'm sorry for everything, he said softly. Anna looked at him, the ocean wind tousling her hair. Me too, she whispered. But maybe now, we can start to build something real. Together. Michael nodded, hope flickering in his eyes. Behind them, the house on Willow Creek Lane stood tall, scarred but standing. The roots, once shattered, were growing again.